Hey everyone, thanks for checking us out. You know us, we're the Commander's Brew. We're out here brewing budget-friendly deck techs every week, spinning a little comedy in there as well. This week, we got a great one for you. It's Svella and the story of snow and fire. Check it out. All right, everyone, here we are. We've got a brand new deck tech for you this week. It's a very exciting one, actually. This is there's a lot to choose from in Kaldheim, and to kick us off for our first Kaldheim brew, I got to pick the commander that really jumped out at me, and that one was Svella Ice Shaper. Yeah, that's right. It's the kind of weird little Gruul commander. I'll read Svella and I'll talk a bit about why this card jumped out at me. Svella is a 1 red and a green for a 2/4 legendary snow creature, a troll warrior. Pay 3, tap. Create a colorless snow artifact token named Icy Manalith with tap, add 1 mana of any color. There it is. That's it right there. That's why this card jumped out at me. We don't get like creatures that make mana rocks. I just have never seen that before. I've never seen something like that. It's obviously a very cool ability to just be making artifacts, let alone having them tap for mana. So like there's a lot of possibilities there. Then we also have the second part of the text, which is pay 6 red, green, tap. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may cast a spell from among them without paying its mana cost, and then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So we kind of get this like Golos type effect. We only get to pick 1. So that's cool. That's something to do, right? Now, honestly, this build doesn't even really doesn't lean on that. We like Svella here for the making of the mana rocks, and we're trying to generate like tons of mana with this deck. That's what we're trying to do. So there's lots of things that obviously can do that. There's lots of other Gruul decks that do similar things, but this one specifically, I just love having these Icy Manaliths sticking around. So we do just little extra synergy there as well. So this is like I said, this is really neat. This is a very unique commander. What do you think of this commander, by the way, Sean? I just want to get your thoughts on this real quick.
Very neat. It's kind of like putting a land into play.
Yeah, right?
Like Fertilid lets us put a land into play, but we got to really jump through hoops to keep going on Fertilid, and we will eventually run out. And those are basics that make 1 color of mana. This gets both of our colors. So if we're ramping a ton, I guess to me the interesting point is, when do you stop making Manaliths and start activating the ability? That's the interesting part. Oh, also Svella invests in their own future by paying for their retirement fund in the commander tax.
That's right. That's true.
Every time you make one, it's just like, I'll need this later when I come back.
So Svella's so great because she comes down and is this like 2/4 blocker, which I know we're probably not running into a lot of early attackers, but you know, if someone has kind of an aggressive build, that's going to like at least be something. But really being able to just start ramping and then ramping into ramping, which is kind of what happens with this deck. I wouldn't worry too much about activating that 8 mana ability, because that's really not what the aim of the deck is, luckily. So we don't even really have to make that decision. That's there as pure gravy, pure bonus. If we later in the game are like, wow, we have all this mana and we've been totally wrecked, board wipe, blah, 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 we can use our Icy Manaliths and activate Svella's ability, and then we can get back into the game. So it's kind of like a safety net, like bonus situation. Anyways, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to take these Icy Manaliths that we have here, the wonderful token art, which is really cool, really nice, and we're going to turn those into fire. We're going to take the ice, the snow permanent, the snow artifact, and we're going to turn it into fire. That's right. We're talking about fire breathing. We are going to activate fire breathing. Like, this is almost like a fire. It's not fire. I wouldn't call it fire breathing tribal, because it's like not every creature has fire breathing, but fire breathing is what we're looking to do all the time here. Snow into fire. That's what's happening. So let's set up our scene here. Basically, it's weird. Okay. So Svella creates ramp, and then that begets more ramp, but you also have to ramp to be doing Svella more than once, right? So you kind of still have to have your normal amounts of ramp. Now you can skip a little bit on the ramp because she just right there makes you, these mana rocks. So, but it's still fairly important. But the main way to ramp with her is to untap her and just do it again, right? After we've kind of done that. So take the first couple here, these first three, Sean.
Sure. Mage Right Stone, 2 generic for an artifact. 1, tap. Untap target creature that has an activated ability with tap in its costs. Why, that's Svella. We are also running Rhyme Tender, 1 and a green for a human druid snow creature. 2/2, tap to untap another target snow permanent. Why, that's Svella. And of course, Seeker of Skybreak, 1 and a green, 2/1 elf, tap, untap target creature. Of course, Svella's a creature.
Yeah. Just goes without saying. So, this is simple, but do you see what I mean? And that we kind of almost need to ramp into really making use of Svella's ability. It's like this weird thing where chicken egg situation where what do we ramp into first, right? But if we want to do her twice in a row, that's 6 mana. That's a lot. So
well, it's 5 though, because Svella makes
the first one, and then, exactly.
So it's doable.
Exactly,
it's doable.
It totally is, and honestly, like either way, you're going to be happy. Whether you don't have anything, it's like it's okay. It's just a bit slower. But if you hit a rampant growth in there, that's just going to turn it on a turn earlier. It's great. But like I said, because of that, you kind of get to actually cut like a couple sources of ramp because that's just what your commander does, as we all know. Okay, so some other stuff we're going to do here though is a little bit more efficient, but still kind of costs some mana. Something like a Lithoform Engine. Actually, this card ends up being really good in a number of ways in this deck, but the most obvious one is the first ability here. A Lithoform Engine is the 4 mana legendary artifact. It has pay 2, tap, copy target activated or triggered ability you control. You can choose new targets. So we can copy the create a Manalith ability. It also has 3 tap, copy target instant or sorcery spell, choose new targets, and 4 tap, copy target permanent spell you control. This is a great card in this deck because early on we're going to be doing that first one to make a bunch of mana rocks, and then later once we start playing some of our bigger creatures, 4 tap is going to be very doable for us because we're going to have a ton of mana kicking around, and that's going to be really great to be able to copy our permanents. Get these other tokens out there. Also, Illusionist Bracers. 2 mana for the artifact equipment. Whenever an ability of equipped creature is activated, if it's not a mana ability, you can copy that ability. You can choose new targets for the copy. You equip it for 3. You equip this to Svella. You pay 3, tap, and she makes 2 mana rocks. So that's very good. This card's recently shot up in price. I mean, maybe I said shot up, but maybe it's creeped up over time, and I just didn't really notice. But this card's like $10 now, $11 or something like that, I think. I noticed this because looking at the deck today, obviously, but like this used to be a budget include for us. This was like a couple of gumballs. Like I've got 9 of these.
This is where remember like Rings of Brighthearth got crazy expensive. So then everyone's like, well, I'll just run Illusionist Bracers. It's not as good, but whatever. That always happens to the thing that is not as good but is the substitute. That becomes the only viable option, and then it gets expensive. We saw it with Doubling Season and then Parallel Lives, right? Yeah. Parallel Lives was always super cheap, but then that thing got crazy because everyone's like, well, I'm not paying Doubling Season's money, but Parallel Lives does everything I needed to do.
We're going to mention Parallel Lives later in the budget report. Let me tell you, we're going to talk about that card. Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, this card is, budget-wise, of course, it's getting up there, but it's a absolutely phenomenal card when this card's working with your commander. It's another reason why it's expensive. So that's what we're doing. We're going to make a bunch of these mana lists, and obviously with Svella, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a lot of mana lying around. So I talked about fire breathing, right? So let's get the base of that. Let's get the vegetables of when it comes to laying down like what it is we need to actually have the deck work, right? Let's get the vegetables of the heat. Let's bring the heat. Let's cook these vegetables.
Sure.
Sean,
Frank's Red Hot.
Read us a couple of the native fire breathers in the deck.
I mean, one of the best fire breathers that there is, Immolating Soul Eater, 2 mana for an artifact creature, Hound. It's actually a dog now. It's a 1/1. And it gets +1/+0 for every red Phyrexian that you spend, which allows us to pay true red mana, or we can pay 2 life instead. So this potentially you couldn't get massive because I can just spend all but 2 or 1 of my life if it's going to win me the game. Furnace Whelp is another classic. 2 red for a 2/2 flyer. It's a dragon and classic Firebreathing. Red gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Spend as much red as you got on it. And then Molten Steel Dragon, a cousin of Immolating Soul Eater. 4 Phyrexian red. So 4 mana or 4 mana pay 4 life or 6 mana. I'm probably paying 4 life to get it every time. Same kind of Firebreathing. It's a 4/4 flyer, but +1/+0 for every red or 2 life or combination thereof that you pay.
Yeah, that's right. And Immolating Soul Eater, very efficient. I mean, Molten Steel Dragon also not stingy when it comes to efficiency, being a 4 mana 4/4 flyer with Firebreathing. These cards are like, I highlighted these to show that, like, even if it's a Soul Eater that's really small, or even like something as classic as a Furnace Whelp, these are like viable creatures in this deck, and you're going to see why. But these uncommons and commons, and then we got a rare here with Molten Steel Dragon, but these are going to be very, very useful and valuable creatures in this deck, and it's going to be great. Now, there are a lot of other creatures in this deck actually that don't have Firebreathing natively. So I did a lot of searching, and I was just searching for the wrong card, like the wrong keywords, because eventually, I was looking for the ability to each creature gets this, each creature gets this ability. Could only find one card that did that. I'm like, this isn't right. Turns out you got to be searching for something like Captive Flame. 2 and a red. It's an enchantment. It just says red. Target creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It's not that it gives them Firebreathing. It just does it, it just has it itself and it gives it to creatures. It's I didn't think to word it like that. I don't know how I even stumbled across this, but I did. Captive Flame, Gitu Warcry is just the exact same card. It's 2 and a red, pay red, Firebreathing, same exact thing. Literally just functional reprints, just different names. They're both enchantments. They both cost 2 and a red. It's strange that this happens. It's not, one's not even from a Portal set, which is the only other way this happens, usually.
Well, and the dudes in Gitu Warcry look like they could be from Kamigawa block. They look like feudal Japanese
you're right.
kind of armor.
Yeah.
So it's not even I don't remember where Gitu is from. Gitu. Is it Dominaria?
Yeah, Gitu's Dominaria, because this is from Urza's Legacy. And then, we have...
Right.
I guess so they couldn't reprint Gitu Warcry in Kamigawa because Gitu is not in Kamigawa.
They burn themselves that way so often.
I know, right?
And then other times when I'm just like, come on, man, can I have another copy of this card with a different name? You've done that with so many cards. Yeah. Why not this one?
And give me a functional reprint of, something weird.
Call it Jorn's Giant Growth or something.
We can't. Giant Growth. So yeah, these cards are actually excellent. Very, very good, because then this turns on the Firebreathing ability for anything, including Svella, which that actually comes up quite a bit, and we're going to take a look at that and those types of things just in a second here, because we're going to start talking about our Edit Man. Working on a
neat We're just going to take a second to handle a little bit of business. And the main point is, thanks for watching. If you want to see more of our comedic takes and offbeat decks, consider subscribing to our channel and hitting that bell to make sure you don't miss anything. And if you're loving our stuff and want to support further, the best way is to head over to patreon.com/commandersbrew. Find out how our generous patrons keep our show growing and how you can get in on the brewing action too through our Discord. Or, if you'd rather, just hang out and play some games with like-minded Commander players. Now, let's get back to those NA moves.
We're back. There's a lot of neat moves in this deck. A lot of fun stuff. So let's just start talking about some of the creatures we're going to like. We're going to like it if they have Firebreathing. We're going to like to be able to pump these guys up, kind of for their own purposes. Sean, why don't you take these first two?
Tana, the Blood Sower, 2 red-green, legendary elf druid, 2/2, trample, one of the original partners. When Tana the Blood Sower deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green sapling creature tokens. What a great candidate for Firebreathing.
you stumbled when you said combat damage, and you said whenever Tana the Bloodsower deals damn combat damage to a
Damn combat damage.
Damn combat damage.
All your friggin' creatures have fire breathing. I don't know which one to block. These damn creatures.
Yeah, Tana hits and makes you a bunch of saplings. Pretty sweet.
Yeah. Similarly, Varchild, Betrayer of Kieldor, legendary human knight, 3/3. Whenever Varchild deals combat damage, damn combat damage to a player, that player creates 1/1 red survivor creature tokens, creates that many. Survivors your opponents control can't block, and they can't attack you or a planeswalker you control. When Varchild leaves, you gain control of all the survivors. All survivors. So that we're just going to eventually get paid back in survivors. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that's right. And again, so there's a lot of things you have to kind of keep in mind as we go down the top of the stack down to the bottom, because a lot of things are going to pay off even more as we go along. So keep Varchild in mind too, but even if we don't get rid of Varchild and we just give our opponents all these creatures, they can't block, so they're going to swing with them. And that's good. And they can't attack you. There's no situation where they're allowed to attack you. So that's fine. Obviously, don't attack the person with the sack outlets for this. Don't give them fodder. That kind of goes without saying, though. We know who we're going to attack and all that sort of thing. But Varchild's a reasonable option, because we do have some ways to make Varchild leave the battlefield. So these two are great creatures, right? Give these fire breathing, and all of a sudden we're making tons and tons of little tokens. Well, what about if we gave them some fire breathing, and then we also had a Zena Ghost, God of Revels, on the board? 3 red-green for the indestructible god, 6/5. It's got the devotion text, and it says at the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the creature's power. So yeah, this is an excellent creature, enchantment, what have you, to pair with fire breathing, because this will help actually boost the toughness as well. So yeah, Zena Ghost creates a lot of monsters that way. But also, now think about that with Morog, Fury of Akum. 4 red for the 6/6, recently from Zendikar Rising, right? Legendary Minotaur. Each creature you control gets +1/+0 for each time it has attacked this turn. And then the landfall, which I tested this earlier today, and I had to really try and think this out and make sure I got this right, because I know there's a wrong way to do it. Whenever a land enters the battlefield on your control, if it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. At the beginning of that combat, untap all creatures you control. So you have to attack first, then do the landfall with Morog, because at the beginning of that combat, that new combat, it untaps them all. You don't want to do it first and untap your already untapped creatures. If you just read it carefully, have confidence, you'll be fine. That's what I did.
Right. I just remember play your lands last.
Yeah. Play your lands after you attack. Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming you get 1 land drop, so you have to play it after.
So the sweet way this works, obviously, with Zena Ghost, is we get to pump the creature twice. We get to double they attack once, and then the second attack, Zena Ghost does this thing again. So that's a sweet combo. It's also purely a sweet combo with Tana and Varchild, in that, like, we just get to attack more and get more hits with them and create more tokens and stuff. And then, yeah, the fact that it also has this weird little version of fire breathing on it, which is perfect as well. That also helps, right? Because once they attack the first time, they'll get the +1/+0, and then that second time they'll get another +1/+0. Right. So yeah, Morog fits into this deck perfectly. Big, huge, scary red creature that does awesome things. This is actually one of the reasons why I still included a number of traditional mana ramp things, like rampant growth and things like that, because you pull a rampant growth late in the game, it's usually not good. But now we have Morog. If Morog's on the battlefield, sweet, that's another combat. Like, that's great. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of cool synergy there. this is just if we have a ton of tokens. Read this next one, because this is one that was given to us by our boy Guy. Shout outs to Guy. I know he loves this card in his Goblins deck, and well, it's going to work pretty well in this one too.
Yeah, it's Dragon Rage, 2 and a red for an instant. It's from Fate Reforged. Add red to your mana pool for each attacking creature you control. So this is in the family of red, sort of, what do you call them? Those, what's the name for these cards? I've already forgotten. The cards that give you more mana back.
Rituals?
Rituals. It's in the ritual family. You have to use it for attacking creature, which means you have to use it in combat. So you might be thinking, well, where's this mana going to go? I can potentially turn 3 mana into 15 mana, but I can't get it in my second main. That's okay, because until end of turn, attacking creatures you control gain fire breathing. Red, +1/+0. So all of that mana, and it's you add it to your mana pool for each attacking creature you control. You have to time this carefully, because mana empties after each phase. So your opponents declare blockers. You wait until they're done declaring blockers. Then you cast this. Add the mana into the ones you need, either to make some like chumps into kills or just kill them. That's the time to use. After declare blockers, but before declare damage.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing. If you're trying to sneak damage in, this card's great because, again, you pick that one token that made it in or whatever, right? Or you can get some cool kills this way. It's a great card in this deck. It works completely. Just to generate the mana sometimes is what you need, because there's some other cards that synergize well with that. But then just being able to give everything fire breathing, even if it's just for a turn, can be so valuable in this deck. The synergies we're working with are so powerful that this card's well worth it. Great suggestion from our boy Guy there. Sean, take this next kind of neat move here, starting with Soulbright Flamekin.
Okay, Soulbright Flamekin is a 1 and a red 2/1 elemental shaman, and it has the ability for 2 colorless, 2 generic. Target creature gains trample until end of turn, but if this is the 3rd time this ability has resolved this turn, you may add 8 red mana to your mana pool. So if you've saved up 6, you can pay the 6 to give 3 creatures trample, or the same creature trample 3 times, doesn't matter. Or a creature on the other side of the table if you just want to make some mana. And then you've gained 2 mana. You've netted 2 mana. Then
pretty good for a 2 mana 2/1, right? Like, not bad. We're going to gain mana from this every turn, basically.
Right. And so Leyline Tyrant is a 2 red flying dragon. It's a 4/4 that says you don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. This also goes amazing with Dragon Rage. You can save that up for later as well. And when Leyline Tyrant dies, you may pay any amount of red. When you do, it deals that much damage to any target, potentially players. We could kill players with this. Just the last,
just to hit this combo a little harder. So we don't lose the red mana, and Soulbright Flamekin just says it's this turn. Yeah. So if you have Leyline and Soulbright Flamekin, every turn this makes you 2 more mana. That doesn't disappear, and it's all red. Also, quickly, Soulbright Flamekin, really great if you have a lot of your forests out and you don't have as much of your mountains as you want. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, that's great for fire breathing.
Yeah.
And then we're going to top it off with Greater Good. 2 green enchantment, sack a creature, draw cards equal to their power, and then discard 3 cards. I mean, if you're fire breathing creatures, you're always going to draw more than you're discarding. That's fine. And then, let's talk about something like a fling. I love a fling. If you fire breathed something, you just save 2 mana left over. Fling is great. It's 1 and a red instant, and as an additional cost to cast the spell, sack a creature. That's why this works so well, because no one can stop you from sacrificing this creature to put it on the stack. And fling deals damage to any equal to the sacrificed creature's power. No one can. There's certain versions of this spell where if they remove the creature from under you, the spell does nothing because there's no creature. The power equals 0.
We have one of those.
Chandra's Ignition. So is it Chandra's Ignition?
Yeah, Chandra's Ignition does that. Yeah.
Chandra's Ignition works that way. If they kill the creature you're trying to target, it does nothing.
Yeah.
But Fling, you can't stop Fling that way. You have to actually counter it.
That's true.
It's great.
So what we've got going on here, and like this is how I think typically it'll work at a table who is not familiar with this, and why on earth would they be? Soulbright Flamekin is going to come down at the same time, and if you have your Leyline Tyrant, so you have these two on at the same time, you're going to do the Soulbright Flamekin thing. They're going to be like, oh, that's pretty good. And then you're going to keep that mana into your opponent's turn. Then you're going to do it again. And then they're going to see that you're generating all this mana. So by the time it comes back around, or by the time it gets to when someone can kill your Leyline Tyrant, if they want to, which they might not even want to, or they're going to try and kill your Flamekin, you're going to have all this red mana, and you're either going to use it to Fire Breathe on one of your creatures that you already have, or maybe it's the Tyrant itself. And then you're going to Greater Good, and you're going to draw like 30 cards or something. Or you're going to fling and just kill the person before they can even kill your Soulbright Flamekin. Because don't forget, you're also like, you have all these mana rocks. Like, it's not just that didn't come out of nowhere. Like, the next turn you untap, and you're just like, tap all your mana and do it and keep doing it. This is a crazy like combo to be able to keep going. Leyline Tyrant is a monster in this deck. And think of all that and then add Braid of Fire to this deck. 1 in a red for the enchantments. Cumulative upkeep is add red to your mana pool. Many people are probably familiar with this, but if you're somewhat new to Commander, this is a weird card. Well, it's from back in the day when mana burn was a thing, and if we had unspent mana in our pool and it like left the pool by changing phases and stuff, we would take damage from it. Well, this doesn't happen anymore. So Braid of Fire just is like add a bunch of mana on your upkeep and then it goes away. Well, in a Fire Breathing deck, we can just, for that turn, spend it all and give a creature like whatever. Plus, it's cumulative, right? So this turn's 1, next 2, 3, so on. And then and you don't even need Leyline for this to be, or Leyline Tyrant for this to be good. Actually, like just dumping this mana into a Fire Breather for that turn is a totally awesome way to use Braid of Fire, let alone if we can keep it around if the Leyline Tyrant is out. So just a crazy little combination of. The thing I love about this deck so much is that Fire Breathing is such not a commander ability. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's such a classic limited ability, and like it's such an old school ability. Like doesn't Shivan Dragon have Fire Breathing, right? Like,
yep.
It's such an old school ability, and we don't see it really represented super hard in Commander a lot. So I love taking that ability and making it something that people have to be afraid of. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Cool stuff there. Okay, so now let's say we've got all this mana kicking around. Svella is now kind of like, we don't really need her to be making mana rocks anymore. We don't need to be spending our mana on that anymore because we've got all these Fire Breathing outlets and stuff. Well, obviously we could use the 8 mana ability. Very strong, right? Very good. But what if we wanted to just keep going down this road where we're just like changing our ice into fire, changing our icy Manalith and our snow mana into damage? And one excellent way to do that is Burning Anger. 4 and a red to enchant a creature that says enchanted creature has tap. This creature deals damage equal to its power to any target. Now, obviously, this doesn't need to only go on Svella, but because we have untappers in the deck, as Sean, we read earlier, that makes Svella actually a really good target for these because like we have the one that untaps snow permanents and that sort of thing. So they actually work. There's more options that work, like Magerite Stone also works better with Svella specifically. So Burning Anger is great. We can Fire Breathe up Svella, use Burning Anger. She's no danger. Don't need to attack. We can untap and tap it a bunch of times. Another great option for this is Elemental Mastery, 3 and a red for the aura. Enchanted creature has tap, put X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens with haste into play, where X is this creature's power, and then you exile them at the end of turn. Beginning of the next end step. So before I read this last one, so here's the thing about this deck that I've noticed. We kind of got this thing where we've got a lot of token makers, but we also have this thing where we like stack up damage on one, like the Fire Breathing is just on one creature. So we've got this kind of go tall but also go wide thing. So sometimes, and like either strategy's fine, and actually you're going to find that it's just flexibility as opposed to being like not focused. It actually works really well because sometimes you need to be wide, and then you have the option of going tall. It's really great. But sometimes you want to marry those two together, and there's no card better for that than Dragon Throne of Tarkir. 4 mana for the legendary equipment. Equipped creature has equips for 3. It says equipped creature has Defender and pay 2, tap. Other creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is this creature's power. So just on her own, Svella is like pretty decent if you have a bunch of tokens. +2/+2 and trample to all your creatures is reasonable. Very good. That's powerful. Let alone any kind of fire breathing on Svella. Now you don't need to fire breathe on any of your other tokens. Now you just fire breathe Svella, tap her, pay 2, tap. Now you've got all your creatures are like +7/+7 +9. You can, and then you can do it again if you wanted, right? You can if you have one of the untappers out there. Probably not necessary, but still, this one really ties the deck together. Really ties the room together here.
Maybe we could like Zena Ghost, Svella, who's on the throne. This is where Captivating Fire, those enchantments come into handy, where you can just choose a creature to pump up. Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's our plan of attack, but there's a couple things in here that are just here to serve. Like, obviously things aren't going to always be going our way 100%. We're not going to have a board full of tokens and all of the fire breathing mana every single time. But one thing we do know that we're going to have is we're going to have these icy Manaliths. So Sean, why don't you take this next next 2 cards, because there are ways that we can actually use the Manaliths in an untraditional way.
Yeah, Trading Post, 4 mana for an artifact. The unofficial Planeswalker artifact has got 4 abilities, 1 in tap for all of them. Discard a card, gain 4 life. Fine. Pay 1 life, create a 0/1 white goat creature token. That one's the most common if you've got unused mana at the end of turn. Sack a creature, return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand. And this is the one that's most key here. 1 in tap, sacrifice an artifact, draw a card if we've got a Manalith we're not using much anymore. And similarly, Pia and Kieran Nalar, 2 red for a legendary human artificer, 2/2. When they enter the battlefield, you create 2 1/1 Thopter artifact flying creature tokens, and you can pay 2 in a red to sack an artifact and deal 2 damage to any target.
Yeah, so you just there might be a time where you're not doing so great and you want to cash in some of these things. Like you said, draw a card, maybe deal a little damage, maybe take care of something, some troublesome utility creature, or stack those up a little bit and take something down that's absolutely going to kill you, right? One thing that's pretty much a given is that you will have a lot of mana in this deck because Svella's your commander. You just can't not. It's tough. So we don't do surprises and discoveries in the traditional way, but I've got 3 cards that I wanted to highlight because I've the first 2 I discovered from this, and the other one I just want to talk about. So, like you said earlier, the way Fling works is so good because the sacrificing is part of the cost. Well, on Rupture, that's not the case. Rupture, unfortunately, works the other way, but this is still a really good card in this deck. It's 2 in a red for a sorcery that says sacrifice a creature. Rupture deals damage equal to that creature's power to each creature without flying and each player. So it's kind of like Chandra's Ignition in that way. But it's an old school one, and it's a sorcery, and it's basically like an earthquake. We can wipe the board with this. We can take care of a bunch of things on the ground, and we do have a number of dragons. We do have a number of flyers in this deck that are going to survive a Rupture. So you can fire breathe someone up, wipe their board, probably wipe your own mostly, take them down like a bunch of damage, and then swing in with these dragons. It's a pretty nice play. And this next one too is really neat. Take this one.
Yes, Lacolith Rig. Lacolith?
Yeah, Lacolith. Yeah, it's weird.
Is that a material or a place?
I don't know.
It's a 1 red mana in aura that enchants a creature. When enchanted creature becomes blocked, you may have it deal damage equal to its power to target creature. If you do, the first creature assigns no combat damage this turn.
So,
which one's the first creature?
It's the one that if you actually, this is one where the original text kind of makes it clearer. Okay. So it says you may have it deal combat damage to to its power to target creature. If you do, enchanted creature deals no combat damage this turn. So basically what it means is you put Lacolith on a creature, you pump it up with a
trade where the damage goes.
Yeah, exactly. So like if they chump block your like 5/5 with fire breathing on it, no problem. You can then either decide to deal the damage to the one that it's blocking you, or you can have it deal it to another creature and just whatever, don't kill the chump blocker. So like it creates this weird thing where it's like, well, a chump block is still going to work from a blocking perspective, but if it has Lacolith Rig on it, it's going to kill a bigger, better creature. So it's like they have this weird thing, so they'll just probably end up blocking with, but then you still get to do this. You may have like you still get to deal it's almost like first strike kind of. Like I think I got this right. Like it's a weird card.
Yeah, it's a trigger that happens on blocks.
Yeah. So it's kind of
it would be faster than first strike.
Yeah, so it's like this weird first strike thing where we can kill what's blocking it, or if they block it, we can hit it with something else. And I just thought like it might be. I would like to see how this works with fire breathing, because like they're gonna want to block the fire breather, and you're gonna want to kill something big of theirs if they do. So very interesting little card here. And then originally in this brew, I had I thought of Heroic Intervention. I always think of that card because. Obviously, it's really great. And in any creature-based deck, it's something we need. We need to protect from board wipes and all that kind of stuff. But it's expensive, right? It's gotten recent reprints, a little more, come down in price a little bit lately. But I got a good budget version for you. It's called Wrap in Vigor, and it's 1 and a green. It's an instant, same thing as Heroic Intervention, and it's just regenerate each creature you control. I mean, I'd say more than half the time I'm using Heroic Intervention to make my board survive a board wipe anyways. So it feels like that's fine. And then like the other percentage of the time, they're either killing or exiling my thing. And I guess if it's a creature, if it's my commander, which is what I'm usually saving it for, this will still save it from a kill. So it's certainly not as good, but hey, in a pinch, budget version, I think this is totally fine. I actually have this in my Hydra's deck, and it's worked wonders there.
I mean, it may not be as good, but it is way better. Like you would save $6. It's not $6 worse.
Exactly. Yes, that's right. And Heroic Intervention is going to go back up in price. So if you like,
it's already moved up.
Yeah.
Like from when it was reprinted.
So yeah, there you go. That's what we're working with. It's a creature-based deck, lots of flamethrowing, lots of neat and fun interactions. We got a little sacrifice angle. It's this works on a lot of different angles. It's a lot of fun to play. We had a lot of help from our Discord helpers here. Shen, Loki Dragon 87, Micah Eternity's Crafter, Pips Don't Lie, Chiefy, our boy Gee Pizza, Mattisman, Stuffy A, Nerds Flow, Doomfrog, all in there giving us. And like we always say, this, like Chiefy specifically was like, okay guys, hear me out, mass land destruction. And like, he's not wrong. Svella works really well with mass land destruction because you just have all these artifacts. So he was just like doing that, and we're just like, look, I'm probably not going to build that because I wasn't, but only because like, I don't think I could guarantee that once I did one of those cards that I would be able to win right away, which is like, if I knew that could happen, I'd be in. But I didn't think this deck was that style. This is more like we're just kind of ramping, then I just get to play and you guys don't, which is not something I love to do. But that was one of the angles. But there was a bunch of other angles in here. I know Mattisman has a version of this deck that's like Kirkash, Ancient Onaki, where he's like copying artifact triggers and stuff like that. It's really, really, really neat. So a lot of fun in there in the Discord. Check it out. Go to Patreon, join our Discord. It's great. Awesome times in there. Okay, it's time for the budget report, I believe. So this is a deck that can be really cheap. This version that I've brewed is not cheap because I've left a couple cards in that I'd like to highlight for being expensive. So that's what happens when I would like to do that. But rest assured, the heart of this deck, the fire breathers, the things that are taking advantage of the fire breathing for the most part are all actually really cheap cards. I'm confident that you could cut $100 off of this price and you'd still have a very workable deck. The mid on this one's 187, but I think that's a little inflated. Again, like TCG has this weird thing where we can't pick the version of the card. So like,
yeah,
or at least I don't know how to do it.
Well, it doesn't give you the sum total for the deck by choice. Like you can, like if you decide to order the deck and you go in, you get to pick different versions of all the cards, and you will find a way cheaper version of the deck that way.
Yeah, well, the low is like $100. So, and even then, I think you can actually get that even lower. So I also saw this for 150, and then the low was 80 something. So needless to say, we can get it lower. And if we cut, for example, these 3 cards that just got really pricey. I mean, the first 2 are surprises. The third one I kind of knew always. But so the first card, the most expensive card in the deck actually is 1,000-Year Elixir. What? 3 mana for the artifact. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. You can pay 1 and tap and untap target creature. This is just a great artifact to have with a commander that has a tap ability. And, you know, aside from being an untapper, I actually think there's more, like there are other untapping creature cards that I think are just free. So you do not need to add this card. Having Svella have haste is not even that good. You're going to want to play her on turn 3, and giving her haste there doesn't really, giving her this pseudo haste. She can't even attack with this one. It's not worth it. Cut this card. It's like $20. You don't need it. Next. You want to read the next one?
Yeah, this is truly a surprise. I guess it's that Commander deck exclusive. It came from a Commander deck, and it's Nesting Dragon. 3 red, creature dragon, flying, 5/4. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, make a 0/2 dragon egg with Defender. And when that creature dies, it turns into the Furnace Whelp. 2/2 flying dragon with fire breathing. So obviously perfect in this deck, but it's one of those that round of commander decks gave us excellent landfall creatures. Yeah. Like make a token that turns into better things after a board wipe, perhaps. Like this is just board wipe insurance supreme. Yeah. So of course this is going to be very valuable. Sack decks love this because you get 2 sacks every time you play a land. No wonder this is a $15+ card. 15.
This is the one that makes me the most sad because it's so good, the deck. But like, I just feel like everyone who bought the Atla Palani deck, there's no way they sold this card. No one sold this card, right? Like, everyone just kept it because
perfect
it's
for the deck.
So good. And it's so good in so many decks. You're right. So yeah, $15. It pains me to say, but you can cut it because the truth about it is that this is a dragon. It doesn't have fire breathing. And yeah, you can make a lot of the eggs, but like aside from like greater good, we have Goblin Bombardment in the deck, but aside from greater good and like greater good's not a great sack outlet for these eggs. You're just going to be discarding 3 cards to do it, which is bad because there's not a lot of graveyard synergies going on here. And there's one other sack outlet that's like, oh, that's not even that good. So you can cut it. You can say $15. Here's the one that I would say, let's try and hang on to this one. It's Zena Ghost. We talked about it earlier, but it's just going to pump things up. It's going to make, it's going to make that fire breathing double essentially, while also adding toughness, which is something you really want. So this one's tougher cut, but it's $11. So anyways, think about it. I said we were going to talk about it, and we are going to talk about it. Did you know that Parallel Lives, which is not in this deck, these next 2 cards are cards that if we had no budget limit, I would, if we were living in magical Christmas money land, I would add these in, but I can't abide it because they're just too much. Did you know that Parallel Lives was $40?
I didn't know it was 40, but I knew it was I knew it was more than a $20 bill.
I didn't even know that. The last I saw Parallel Lives, it was like $15 or something like that. And to me, that was too much. And trust me, I've played Parallel Lives in a very heavy tokens build. And obviously it can get wacky and so good. But sometimes you play Parallel Lives, and if you don't have anything out that makes tokens, this card does nothing. So obviously the ceiling's really high on this card, but the floor is pretty low too. It's not worth $40. Let me tell you that, especially since you can get a doubling season for 47 or 45 or something like that. Like just go the extra $5 and get doubling season. It costs one more mana, but it does two things that are great. And you can slide it into many different decks.
How much is the white one this time?
Anointed Procession. I don't know. I'll read the other card. You look that up. But the other card,
ooh, $25.
I bought I'm so glad I bought a couple of those when they were like $4 and then $6.
I mean, we knew what Parallel Lives
exactly.
was. This was. You do not need to be a financier to predict this.
No. The other card, you can read this. What's the other card here?
Oh yeah, Nyx Bloom Ancient, 4 green for an enchantment creature elemental. Starts as a 5/5, stays as a 5/5.
Yeah.
It has trample, but whenever you tap a permanent for mana, it produces triple that much. So, Icy Manaliths are making 3 red at a time. This just turns your fire breathing into like, what is it? What would it be like molten neon breathing?
Yeah.
Just like
yeah,
lightning bolt breathing.
Absolutely. It's wild.
Yeah.
It'd be crazy in this deck.
Oh, and I didn't say the price. It's like $20.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if you're fine with this budget. Honestly, cutting 1,000-Year Elixir and putting this in. I mean, this is a 7-mana creature, so it's a lot. But once this guy's on the board, it's game over. If you have any fire breathing thing, it's not just wild, absolutely wild. Yeah, but there you go. Like I said, you can cut a couple of cards because there's also a couple other cards that are in the $5 to $6 range that you can cut down. And like I said, the heart of this deck is a lot of very cheap cards, actually. It's just a select few that are pumping this price up that I wanted to point out. So anyways, it's a lot of fun. Put your slant on it, put your spin on it, make it fit your budget, and you'll have a great time with this deck. I promise. It's really cool. Well, that does it. That does it for the talking about cards portion of the show. And now Sean and I have to go.
We have to get our tuxedos on.
That's true. We absolutely do. And we need to kick it over to our favorite award show that we host every day, every week, I should say. And it's the Audrix. Yes, here we are. The Audrix. What a lovely time it is for everyone here. Oh, wow. I can't believe it. It's Darian, King of Keldor, straight from the Iced Age. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for braving the snow. Am I right? Darian, good to see you. I'm not going to hit you because then all your soldiers will show up.
Great to see everyone in the crowd. June Squibb, lovely to see you.
Hi.
Lovely to see you. Love your work. Big fan of your work.
Big fan of your work. Yeah, Sean, you look good tonight. I like the tux. It looks sharp.
Thank you, Armani.
Oh, Armani. I barely know me.
Tonight we celebrate excellence.
Absolutely.
Excellence in cards and excellence in Magic. And it is an honor for us to present this week's Audrix Award.
This week's award is one that speaks to the brewer in all of us. When we are looking through piles of cards, lists of cards, we've typed in specific keywords looking for a specific ability, and you can't help but utter to yourself, why isn't there more cards like this? Well, the Why Isn't There More Cards Like This award goes to Bloodshot Cyclops. Bloodshot Cyclops. Thank you. Yes, the 5 and a red. Just taps, sacrifice a creature, and flings it. How is there not 4 or 5 of these with various, versions? No, mostly just this guy in mono red. So thank you, Bloodshot Cyclops, for existing. And thank you for having one of the goofiest faces I've ever seen a Cyclops have. I really appreciate that about you, and I love you. Well, that does it here tonight. Please, everyone, get home safely. Remember, don't hit Darian. He'll make a bunch of soldiers around them. And we'll see everyone next time on the Audrix.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go to our TCG Player affiliate link below.
That helps us out too, and for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or two.
See you later.
Bye.